All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to talk about the Dodgers and them being the next villain, the new villain of baseball, and why that's good for the sport. So, it's good for the sport because you need to have, well, first of all, you need to have that in the sport. And, they're looked at now as the new evil empire, which, you go back to the 90s, that's what the Yankees were, but it's now this team because this team has an opportunity to not just win one World Series, but multiple. And they definitely have a great chance of repeating this year. And it's just also because of what they've done, how the financial flexibility, what they've been able to do with the contracts that they've given out to allow them to build up this team and make it the way it is. Because a lot of fans are not happy about that. And owners of other teams are not happy about it. But what they're doing is completely legal. Something that I really haven't seen, to this magnitude. I mean, especially with the Otani contract. But this is good for the sport. You need that. And the Dodgers are going to be on TV plenty of times. On national TV. I'm saying. They have a lot of nationally televised games, and as they should. And you're going to have a lot of fans hate watching. You will definitely have that. You are going to have fans that are going to be rooting passionately against the Dodgers to lose because they do not want to see this team get back to the World Series and win it again. And last year, they won the World Series despite not having a fully healthy team, really a fully healthy pitching staff. And you also had Otani get hurt in the World Series. Freddie Freeman was hurt prior to the World Series, but then of course we get to the World Series and he goes off. He homers in the first four games. So or the first no, yeah, the first four games. So you know now the Dodgers are healthy. Now they're healthy now, but we get to the playoffs, and if they make a deep playoff run, who knows? I mean, they could be dealing with a ton of injuries, but they have a lot of depth on this team, especially with their pitching. And the way the game is right now with pitchers getting hurt, you need to have as much pitching depth as possible. And they have that. They have really stockpiled up their pitching staff so they can withstand injuries. And you know what? They have the ability to go out and acquire players if players go down on their team. They have the ability to do that. They have a loaded farm system on top of that. So, look, am I, you know, happy with what this team has done? Not necessarily, but they're allowed to do this, and it's the teams that we root for. It's their jobs to go out there and try to knock them off. And can it happen? Sure, it can. Anything can happen. Um, anything can happen in a short series. Anything can happen in a 7-game series. The Padres had the Dodgers on the ropes last year. They could have knocked them off. The Mets gave them a hard time. Yankees beat themselves in the World Series. And all those games were relatively close. So it's not impossible. I mean, now we'll see how it is with, Otani pitching and Sasaki and Glasnow and Snell, now being in the rotation. But, the Dodgers, every team is beatable. Like this, the Dodgers are not going to go 162-0. But I think baseball is at its best when you have a team like this to root against. You go back to the Astros and the sign stealing scandal with the trash cans. Now, I think that got ruined because of the pandemic, because everything came out, right before the 2020 season. And, you were going to have a heck of a season with that because you're going to have, fans coming to the games, packing up these stadiums and booing the Astros like crazy. And you got that a little bit in the spring training of that season, but then of course everything shut down, and they came back, and there was no fans. So fans didn't have the opportunity. The only chance they really got at booing them was booing them through the TV. So then the following season, there was a little bit of that. I mean, as a Yankee fan, there was a lot of that because, you know, that's what Yankee fans do. And sometimes, as a fan base, they need to learn. I'm not one of those fans, but they need to learn to maybe stop doing that because that only just adds more fuel to the fire. But yeah, that was a missed opportunity. I'm not saying like the Dodgers are going to be getting booed at and fans are going to be throwing stuff at them, but it's people are going to want to come and watch the Dodgers if they're visiting their team, and like if they're on TV, like I said, hate watching is going to become a thing with this team. I mean, it already has been, but now it's only going to be that even more. So it's just you need that for this sport. This sport needs that. And I don't know what's going to happen after 2026. There could be a work stoppage. And that could really, I shouldn't say there could be, but there is going to be. And I don't know how badly that is going to impact the sport as a whole. Will the sport be able to come back from that? I mean, we were having these same conversations, a couple years ago, but they ended up starting on time. So maybe that's the same case here, because I remember when that was going on, there was a lot of negativity. It was they're not going to play games. They're going to miss a large chunk of the season. The games are going to be missed. They ended up missing no games. Now, what ended up happening was the first week of the season ended up getting tacked on later on that year in 2022. But there's going to be things that are going to be discussed that I don't believe really were discussed when they were trying to negotiate the last CBA. And that's mainly adding a salary cap to the sport. Because you see these salaries going up and up. And, you look at the contracts Ohtani got, and now you see what Juan Soto got. It's getting too much. Well, it has been getting too much. So, if they miss a significant amount of time following the 2026 season, how is baseball going to be able to bounce back from that? So that's why you got to take advantage of these next couple of years between now and next year, because who knows what happens after that. But look, I'm going to give the Dodgers the respect they deserve. They're a very good team, and if they're on TV, I mean, you got to watch it. You got to watch them play. They're a fun team to watch because they have all these great players. They got Ohtani and Freeman and Mookie Betts, and two of the three players I just mentioned didn't even play in the Tokyo series. But the pitching is what I'm looking forward to watch too. Like when Ohtani takes the mound for the first time, that a lot of people are going to be locked in to see that. And when Sasaki pitches and when Yamamoto pitches. And I saw a headline that said there's even more Japanese players that the Dodgers are interested in signing. And they probably will end up getting them. Like I've said on previous shows, the one thing that really annoys me, it's not even just the money thing. It's just the fact that these free agents kind of toy with these other teams just to go sign with the Dodgers. That's what bothers me. And I'm going to keep saying that. Like, if Sasaki wanted to sign with the Dodgers, if his full intention was signing with the Dodgers, then just sign with the Dodgers. Because the Dodgers are going to offer, other than Steve Cohen, Dodgers are going to offer you the money you want. So that's one thing that bothers me. Also, Teoscar Hernandez bothers me just because he's so good. I mean, he's not as good as, you know, the guys that bat in front of him, but he's he's a Yankee killer. He's a Yankee killer. Maybe one day he'll end up on the Yankees when he's like 34. But yeah, let me know what you guys think though about the Dodgers. How do you feel about them being the new villain in baseball? I think it's good for the sport. I think you got to have that. So before we go to break, though, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat if you want to see me acknowledge any thought or comment you may have throughout the live broadcast. It makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day. So any contribution you make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So when we come back from our next break, we'll talk about Najee Harris opening up about him leaving the Steelers, joining the Chargers. We'll get into all that when we return from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.